We are back with episode 5 of season 5, and before we jump in, I want to highlight that we've partnered with our good friends over at Schiller to co-present this season. I've been advising Schiller for the last year as they help consult and market some of the most vibrationally aligned companies in the space. They're releasing their new season of Curated alongside this season of We Do a Little, so be on the lookout for new episodes from them, including some of our favorite people such as Brian Brinkman, Sasha Stiles, Chris F., and more. Links to their podcast are in the description of this episode. We'll also be doing a little event during Art Basel Miami together this year, so stay tuned for more details. If you'd like to sponsor Season 5 of We Do a Little or future content, please reach out to info@shillr.xyz. Without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. In the 5th episode of Season 5, we are joined by Punk 2070. 2070 is a lawyer by day and a trench warrior and art patron by night. He's a good friend I co-collect art with in the Met Fund as well. We dive into 2070's origin story, the transition from flipper to art patron, the intersection of law and crypto, and so much more. As always, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon for investment decisions. Andy, Dees, and guests may be invested in companies or tokens talked about on this podcast.
This is Andy.
Yeah, I'm Dees.
We are back again with another episode of We Do a Little Pod. This is our last episode here in New York for the week.
Wow.
Here with one of my longtime co-collecting friends, fellow D-Gen, fellow Anon, Punk 2070. This is his first IRL pod. You'll see his punk over his face. You're not going to see his beautiful face, but Punk.
Beautiful might be a stretch, but yeah, I appreciate
the punk will make it look. But Punk, you know, you're somebody we've been co-collecting for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You're somebody who I think of as a good mix of, you know, D-Gen in the trenches, but then
Yeah.
also like very sophisticated taste in art. And I've seen your, you know, art collection grow over the last few years. So
Yeah.
I feel like we have a lot of similarities between
For
us.
sure.
And
For sure.
trying to get more of that through on the pod this season. We're bringing on a lot of people who are allocating capital and,
Putting it
you know,
everywhere.
being a bit degenerate with it, and then
We love
trying
a
to
good
give
DJ
that
season.
Yeah.
trying to give
totally.
that glimpse to a lot of our, you know, listeners and fans who are more focused on the art side of things.
Totally.
So, you know, just kick things off, you know, how's your week going?
It's going well, man. It's always like, well, like I'm a lawyer by trade. That's what I usually do during the day. And so I'm never really able to go to other NFT events other than NFT NYC. So this is always like a really fun week for me because I get to see like a bunch of my friends that I probably see once a year just because my job is too demanding to allow me to go to like Art Basel or like anything in Europe. I can't never really do
You
any
can't
of
even
that.
take like the week off because then it's
No, like this year is a little bit better, but last year I was literally in trial during NFT NYC. So like I would be like out until 2 a.m. and need to be waking up at 6 a.m. to get to the courthouse.
That sounds like hell.
It was really brutal last year, especially because like last year was a little crazier than this year, you know, in terms
Yeah.
of just like everyone was here. So yeah, it's quite the balancing act.
what's been your favorite event this week so far?
I've only really been to that Dave's event. What was
Got
that
you, the
called?
all ships.
Yeah, the all
Yeah.
ships.
The
like,
wine
the wine
situation,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
You guys weren't there for that, right?
I got
No.
there at 11:50 and it closed at midnight, and they're
Got
like,
it.
"Hey,
Was it at Sauce?
It was at Sawston, Manhattan, and then a bunch of us went to a place called the Wayland.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good
yeah,
time.
the
I didn't know there
Wayland-
was a Sauce in Manhattan.
I didn't either.
I
until
only know
then.
the one that's like
Yeah,
a few blocks away.
and that one's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that one. But yeah.
the sauce in Manhattan was, I thought, the sauce in Brooklyn, and when I walked out of there, I was like, we're not.
Yeah.
When I got there, I mean, like, we're not in a familiar part of town.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I'm so used to Dave doing things in Brooklyn.
Yeah, like right here. Yeah.
But yeah, the Wayland sounded like a vibe.
It was.
A lot
It was a
of
good
good
time.
people were there. It was
It
like
was.
2 a.m. I'm like,
Yeah, I had a little bit too much fun, I think. I ended up leaving my backpack there, which had my ledger in it.
oh my god.
Yeah, just like I usually don't carry it around with me like that, but I happened to that day. And I call Ben Scar at like 2:30 in the morning, like, dude, I forgot my backpack there. And somehow he got in touch with the bar and I got it back that
Nice.
night.
I left my credit card at the bar I was at last night.
Yeah.
So I have to go back there some point today to go get it.
Yeah.
But Ledger, dude, I would be having a fucking heart
I
attack.
did,
Like
dude.
I would be like
I literally was having
nervously
a panic
pacing,
attack. Yeah.
picking my nails.
Yeah, I got it back, thankfully, but
It's
it was a worrying few minutes for sure.
It's one of the more annoying things about the space. It's like, oh, you're your own bank, but like your bank's in your backpack.
There's some risks there. Yeah.
You can also lose your entire net worth by leaving your backpack somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, going off of that, and going back a little bit, I just want to, we ask everybody like how they got into crypto just to
For
figure
sure.
out the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Were you somebody who's been into crypto for a while? Did you get into it more recently? What was your origin story?
The first time I ever did crypto was in 2012.
Oh, wow.
But it was used for a purchase.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's-
of course.
I'll leave,
as many were.
So you were the Bitcoin pizza guy then?
Yeah,
is what-
pretty much. Yeah, I had a true Bitcoin pizza moment. I think that it was somewhere in the range of like $1,400 of Bitcoin in 2012, 2013. So
Don't want to look at what that is now.
and yeah, I really don't even want to know the translation rate at all. But yeah, so I did that, and then 2017 came around. Everyone's going crazy, like, oh wow, crypto is like something. So I started like getting more into it. Then it was mostly just like centralized exchange stuff, of course.
Buy on Coinbase.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was on Binance. So I like watched, $5 or $6 grand because I was pretty broke at the time. I was fresh out of college, and was a paralegal here, paying rent that I couldn't really afford. But so I was like, yeah, I'm sure crypto will make my life easier, and I bought Walton Coin.
Walton Chain.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wow.
And-
WTC.
Yeah,
That's ticker.
and
That was so bullish at one point?
dude. It was that
was
was
so
the
bullish.
future.
The giveaway they
Yeah,
did.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. I can't believe I won.
I held WTC when that tweet went out. I was like,
I think I did as well.
Yeah.
Did you sell it after, or were you like,
I think I was like, nah, it's gonna be fine. And then
nah, it's
it
bullish?
was, it was not fine.
they're
All publicity is good publicity,
Yeah.
man. you
they're
know?
rigging giveaways.
It was not good. And then I also thought Tron was the future. So
Yeah.
I made some two really excellent bets with my crypto. Yeah.
Have
so
you used the Tron blockchain at all?
I tried to. I remember staying up. This is like one of my clearest memories from that point in time. I remember staying up until like 3 a.m. because they're announcing some like upgrade to their blockchain. And I was like, oh, this shit's gonna send this absolutely rocketing. And I remember there was just like a gigantic sell off right after they like did the upgrade, and it was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
That was
for
the
being
first
honest.
time that you learned that you buy the rumor and sell the
Yeah,
news.
exactly. Yeah, I learned the hard way. So yeah, basically, I watched $5 grand turn into like a bunch of money, and then literally back to zero in 2018.
Hell yeah, we had the
So-
same experience.
Yeah.
It was a few
Yeah.
grand turned into a house, and
Yeah.
then it turned into not even a few grand.
Yeah, like debt.
Like what a magic trick.
Tax liability.
Yeah,
What a
for real.
magic trick.
I learned what capital gains were at that point too.
Oh no, yeah, that's yeah.
A hard lesson. So yeah, I took the next year off, went to law school, and then during 1L is like really like 1L is your first year of law school. It's a really demanding year. So I really didn't have time to even really think about crypto. And then COVID hits in fall of 2020, which was my second year, and law school goes to pass fail, and everyone's working from home, so I had plenty of time again. And I was like, oh, let me like just look into this crypto shit again. And I happened to be there like the day after, 2 days after everything died in March
Yeah.
of 2020. And yeah, I bought back in, and then it just was a lot easier from there because I accidentally caught basically the Pico bomb of everything.
That was a crazy couple days.
Yeah, it
so I
was.
was working at MakerDAO when that happened, when all the loans were going under
Yeah.
and stuff. And yeah, that was in hindsight, I should have been purchasing because I had money put away for taxes.
Yeah.
In my account, and like a week after it all happened, or 2 weeks after, I bought back in
Right.
with that money because I was like, "Fuck the taxes, I'll figure that
Yeah.
out later." Like,
Taxes are for next year.
yeah. And I was just like, man, if I wasn't working at Makers where I was like, holy fuck, everything is burning down around me, I would have
Right.
just bought everything that day.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
hindsight's
like
2020.
I had no idea there was even like anything going on. Like I just was like, oh, okay. Like I guess this seems like a decent price to buy. Like I really didn't know everyone had just like got murdered.
That's funny.
And yeah, I lucked into it. It was a good situation. But yeah, then got really into like DeFi and everything for a while. And had like an awesome time DeFi summer. Like really started to,
What's your fondest memory from DeFi Summer 2020?
you guys remember when like what was it, KNC Kyber Network went crazy? That was like my
Yeah.
first real like, holy shit, how am I making this much money off of something that I bought for so little? Like, that was my first pump, so I'll never forget that. And then just like the farms, man, like all the farms and like all the jokes were like,
Oh yeah.
so good. Like the urine stuff was crazy. Like, I don't know. Like that summer was, I still think maybe the best time I've had in crypto. Like NFTs were a lot of fun too when that really blew up.
I think I was so innocent during that summer. Like there was this
Oh,
idea
yeah, exactly.
that what we were doing was revolutionary. There was this idea that like,
Oh yeah.
you know, the distribution is better.
Yeah.
And then in hindsight, it was like, you know, it was really just a way for whales to farm a bunch
Yeah.
of shit and then dump it on hundreds of idiots who
Yeah.
It was actually just SBF farming us.
Yeah, for sure.
We know that the court documents have
we
come out.
were
It
the
was just
yield.
SBF.
Yeah,
no
like
doubt about that.
I remember like I'd pay $100 in gas to put $500 worth of tokens in a liquidity pool to farm a pool 2 that was like 2,000 APY.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at like Alameda's wallet with 500 million, and they have like 150 million in the farm I have in.
Yeah, what was it? Big Data Protocol when they put in like
Yeah,
$1 billion
something
into
like
it.
that. Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! And then you look at the chain; they're claiming every hour and just dumping
Right.
it on
Just
you.
crushing.
And you're like,
Yeah.
well, if I hold this for 3 weeks, like I can break even on gas fees.
Yeah. Like you really, it all comes to light when you learn about that, and then you learn that like Do Kwon is the person who launched Basis Cash.
Yeah.
And all this stuff.
it all-
OXB1
really
is
comes
using
together pretty quickly.
Celsius customer funds.
Oh
to-
my, the OXB1 stuff was crazy.
Yeah.
That was like,
That was nuts too.
because he was someone where people really were like simping hard for him.
Oh, they looked
on
up to that
Twitter.
wallet.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, this guy's a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OXB1
And-
was like huge.
And
like,
meanwhile,
force.
he's just hemorrhaging Celsius
Just
funds,
crushing it.
buying like Unisocks
I
and
think he lost like 50 million in Badger or something.
Dude, Badger was awesome too.
Do you
back
remember
then.
Badger?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Did you
I think
play
I
it?
still have like a little bit of Badger, like
wanna know
on
my
my
fun-
on my Binance.
So
when,
my
like,
fun lore for Badger is I wrote the script that did their initial airdrop.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
they
cool.
they had reached out to me because I had helped with a previous airdrop from like an exploit or something. I had worked with. I was doing stuff with Urine at the time, just
Gotcha.
like for fun, and I had helped Banteg write like a script
Mm-hmm.
to do some airdrop for like an exploit to return funds. I think it might have been after like Eminence or one of those things. And so I like had the code already, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they were looking for someone. I was like, "Oh, I can do it. I have the code. I can just do it for you."
I know a guy.
That's awesome.
Which that was nice because it made me early to Badger.
Yeah. And what was the other one that was crazy? Well,
Did you do any of the rebasing, like algorithmic
Dude, no,
dollars?
yeah, so that's actually not. I'm gonna rephrase my answer. The first real community I've ever like been a part of and like was super excited about was Based Money.
Yeah.
You guys
yeah.
remember like hashtag Based?
Yeah.
I thought that shit was so funny. Like their website was electric. I just looked at their website the other day for the first time because I'm like, why haven't they relaunched on Base? They simply should do that. Like they already have a built-in cult-like following.
I know the founders. I should DM them.
Yeah.
And be like, you guys should run this back.
Dude,
they're all pretty busy. The founders, I know, like
Yeah, I'm
they all
sure.
have shit going on, but they should
sure.
run it back.
No, dude, that like that was an electric community for sure.
Yeah.
Then
And then
there was,
like
like,
ESD. And
yeah, empty set dollar.
Yeah.
I went heavy in ESD. That was a good one for me. So that ESD was bad though because I was pretty early and I made a lot of money, and then when it depegged, I was like, I bought it at like 70 cents, and I was like, I'm just gonna repeg,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna just make all this arbitrage, and it's gonna run it back, and I bag hell. So then
all the way
so
down.
the worst part was after it got down to like 60 cents, I was like, all right, maybe it's not gonna repeg. and then right at that same time, Uniswap token had like totally bottomed from the airdrop, and I like literally I had like a price in mind, and I was like, I am going to dump my ESD for
Right.
Uni. And that weekend I was like away in like the Poconos in like a cabin that didn't have Wi-Fi or cell service. The weekend that it bottomed, and then Uni like doubled while I was gone, and then
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, now I'm not going to buy Uni. And then Uni still
Right.
went up like 8x from there. And ESD, I sold it at like 30 cents. And so I like, it would have
Comfy.
been like a generational trade. And
Yeah.
in retrospect, it was just like a nice tax loss harvest.
Yeah, exactly. We had a lot of those recently. That like, and the first time I like really made like a lot of money, like I back in when the KNC days, like a lot of money to me was like oh wow, I made $3,000. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
it's like I still have like screenshots from back then where it's like, wow, I'm up $1,500 today. Like, look what I did.
This is insane,
It's
like-
and it was like, and then first time I really saw the way things can run, like if you get there kind of early, was with RFI Reflect. You remember that? It was like
Yeah.
the first reflection token. Like the first time like taxes were implemented on a token and they redistributed the tokens to everybody else. Kind of invented the concept. And I just happened to find out the day it came out, and yeah, I saw like a little bit of money turn like a good amount of money. And yeah, so that's like how I like really, it was really all in like shitcoins and DeFi and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I really got my actual start, despite like the gigantic loss in 2018. Yeah, and then NFTs started going crazy, right? As like all of that stuff got scammier
When
and
did you
scammier.
first buy or when did you buy your first NFT?
It was actually, so I remember going to Robness's old Telegram, like the trash Telegram. I don't know if you are
I
familiar
wasn't
with that.
in there, but
Yeah. And I went in there and I was like, hey, like, what is this stuff? And someone just like sent me some free NFTs. So like that was like my first real NFT. The first time I ever bought one was actually through Based Money. They did like a moon based protocol that was like NFT based, and it was like trading cards. I still have all of them. 'Cause
good
it's just-
sentimental reminders.
Yeah. So yeah, then that was in late 2020. So I guess late 2020 was the first time I bought an NFT.
What was the it was like anime, like pixelated women.
Oh, Waifu Fusion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kobe.
I got those too.
Kobe talked about them.
Yeah.
So they came out after Hash Masks, but they
Yeah.
were also on that bonding curve, maybe
Yeah.
less extreme.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hash Masks printed money for a lot of
they
people.
did. I was late to Hash Masks. I was on Y Fusion. They never did anything. They
No,
were-
I minted Y Fusions
Yeah.
because one of the guys I knew from like a shitcoin chat was
Yeah.
like kind of on the team, and I'm like, okay, maybe it won't rug,
Right.
so I'll buy some of those. But the Hash Masks were like people in Punk's Discord,
Yeah.
like Nate Alex, Spawn Mises, like sharper people,
Right.
shared Hash Masks at like the 0.1 ETH price.
That's pretty nice.
So if you're paying attention to Punk's Discord, like you got in, maybe not on the ground floor, but like the second level.
yeah.
Yeah, I got in. I had my first mint was in the first band, and then I minted I minted like one, and I was like, all right, what is this? Like, is
Yeah.
it a scam? And then
And they're like, oh,
I
more
was like,
selling.
wait,
Yeah.
no, I think I want more. So
Yeah.
went to the next band, I minted out more. But
Yeah.
it's still crazy to me that they never had a resurgence or anything.
No.
I think that's one of the like mysteries of the NFT world that I don't totally
Yeah.
understand is why they just so quickly died and everyone
And
moved
like the
on.
art is like not bad. Like,
Yeah, I think it's
it,
cool.
looks
It's
like
unique.
alright. Yeah.
I
thought it was
like
cool.
some of them. Like I have a clown that I think is named. There was a period in time where people were buying clowns and then they were naming them after like banks.
That's funny.
So you have like the Goldman Sachs clown or like the Wells Fargo clown, and then they were
Yeah.
doing it to like make fun of people. That's the only Hash Mask I've held that I've seen a bid on.
Right.
Is the clown. I don't think anyone cares about the other ones, but like at the time it was like, oh, the golden robot. Oh, that one's a monkey.
Yeah. I have a robot still, I think.
Yeah.
I bought it for a hell of a lot more than you guys would have minted them for, I
You
think.
don't think about tax loss harvesting it?
I've done that with a lot of NFTs already. I don't know. Like again, it's like that one's older. It means a little bit more to me. It's
Yeah,
hard
for
me-
sure.
hard
You're
for
not
me
gonna
to
get
rid of.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
What was your introduction to punks? Because your name is Punk 27.
Right. Yeah. So it was. I mean, like this day that everything like got really hot with NFTs, like after Bored Apes came out and people were like super excited about like,
Did you mint
projects
any
and
apes?
everything. I did not buy anywhere near mint price. I
Same.
ended up trading a bunch of them. Like I bought one at like 15, another one at like, and I bought a really nice one at like 50 or something like that. And then I traded a bunch of penguins, because that's the real origin story for NFTs is Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah, we
for
got to
me.
talk about how, because you were
Yeah.
the #1 minter of Pudgy Penguins.
I was, yeah, and I think I was top 5 for Cool Cats as well.
So how
That was an expensive Father's Day for me. Cool cats.
Yeah, it's
Fathers Day, the Cool Cats came out. We're hosting a
Yeah.
space. They're like 0.1. We're like, we like the cats.
yeah,
Lee like the cats. And then like a month later, they're 15 or whatever.
yeah.
How did you find out about Pudgies to mint them?
It was literally just like, so a bunch of me and my friends started like this Telegram for NFTs. I don't remember how they came across our desk. I know that I was the first one to find them, but I don't remember how I did. And I was just like, well, penguins have always been my favorite animal. That's like just like a separate
Okay, so
thing
that
that's always been a thing.
green light,
Yeah.
penguin.
And like I was like, these look pretty good. And yeah, I minted 87 of them. Bought like a few more after that. I think my total at the highest was like I probably had like 102 or something like that. Then well actually Cool Cats was before that, so I minted 50 of those.
Yeah.
And so Cool Cats kind of taught me, okay, what you really need to do with this stuff is get in on the mints while like
You got to
that's
get in
cool.
early when
Yeah.
the price is so cheap that the risk is
because
low.
like I was trading apes and I was like doing well with that, but like a small investment for a bigger return is definitely
Well, yeah,
the
I
way
mean,
to
if
go
you're
about it.
putting 15 into an ape and like you're happy to double it,
Right.
you could put 15 ETH into 100 Cool Cats and like
It's easy. Yeah.
double that a lot easier. So you bought 50 cats. You're like, oh, this fucking is cooked.
Right.
Did you sell the cats pretty early or did you hold them?
So yeah, that's I sold probably 60% of them around like 1.5 to.
It's pretty good though.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah,
Like
and
you didn't decide like at 0.5, like I'm up fucking
No.
6x. Like
No, it was yeah. I held them for a while and then I sold the rest. I think I have 2 left. At like,
I have 2 left too.
Yeah, I think that's the right number.
Yeah, one for me, one for Mrs. D's.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that I sold basically all of them around 5. Maybe 1 or 2 like above that. I think I also had like one of those TV heads and I sold that for like 20.
Nice.
But yeah, Cool Cats did really well, and then Penguins came along and that did even better. Up until recently, I'm sure I'm not anymore because of how more expensive they are now. But I sold almost all of them at peak Coal FUD.
What was the price like at them?
It was like 3.5, 4 ETH.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I not all of them then, but
But
that's when I
like
sold
you
them.
held a good chunk
Yeah.
up until then.
Yeah.
And that was before Luca bought them.
I was like very much a part of the sector of the community that was trying to force coal out.
Nice.
Because at the time I was like still I think I was the biggest holder until that 9x9 guy came along. Remember that?
That guy's psycho. I kind of
Dude,
forgot
yeah.
about him. He came
Yeah.
out. He like launched a shit coin that
Yeah.
gave
Then he
us.
moved to Solana and he started
Yeah.
doing weird
He has,
stuff.
like, a different Twitter
he has
account.
a new account for Solana.
yeah,
Yeah.
ABC or something.
Yeah.
And then he
9x9.
bought a bunch of punks and bridged them to Solana.
Yeah,
and was
people
trying to-
really hate him, and like I kind of feel you. Yeah, he's kind of shitty.
Like, what? My perspective of him is he just gave me free money.
Yeah.
Because he did the SOS thing.
Yeah.
I think looked at your OpenSea history of like how much volume or fees you've paid OpenSea.
Yeah.
And then you got a SOS airdrop relative to that. And
Right.
since I had traded 5,000 ETH
Yeah.
worth of NFTs on OpenSea, I got over 10 grand
Yeah.
for free. That was my only ever interaction with the guy. So I
Yeah.
feel like, I look at him like, oh, I don't think he's a scammer, but
Right.
like what happened after, I have no idea. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just assume anytime somebody that's a whale with a lot of money is doing a token and I get it for free, I just need to sell it.
Yeah.
Like there's
No,
not
I
really
agree.
like
I totally agree.
oh, I can't wait to be a community member of
Yeah.
SOS. I mean, like no,
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna sell it.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of us were really unhappy with the way Cole was running the project, and he was also very, very unhappy because he at that point was the largest holder. So when it became like apparent that like Cole was apparent at the time that Cole wasn't going to relinquish control, really, I had to sell, and then he's the one who effed me because he dropped that thread about how they emptied out their treasury. Do you remember that at all? That's like what really ended up.
They had a couple million in there.
Yeah, and like so that
So it's like he emptied
Mark-
the treasury and then he sold the IP
yeah,
without the treasury included with the IP.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good times, man.
It was a wild like being like there on the first day to seeing that. I was like, these penguins brought so much drama into my life. I just wasn't ready for any of it. So yeah, after all of that happened, I went on to buy a punk because that was always something that I wanted to trade my way up to, and I was in a comfortable enough position to do that. And And I went on to piss away a lot more of the profits on other shitty NFTs, like many of us did.
As is tradition.
Yes.
Well, we were looking for the next Pudgy or the next
Yeah,
Cool Cat. Like,
exactly.
one of these had to be it. Like,
Yeah.
if we just keep...
Turns out it wasn't any
It
of
turns
them.
out it's absolutely fucking none
Were
of them.
you minting like 50 plus of all the new ones?
No,
because
literally,
it was like...
I remember that really shitty alien one. What was that called?
The punks one?
Lonely Alien Space Club.
Oh, yeah,
you
I
remember,
remember that.
you remember
Oh,
those
like the-
ugly aliens? I was like, yeah, I'm sure these are good. Or he's gonna rip, bro.
Yeah, what we
Obvious.
didn't know was the next Pudgy or whatever was actually Whiff.
Yes,
And bonk.
exactly. Or wait, like I remember there was still a few good wins. Like I minted Doodles. I minted.
Doodles were nice because they had that... I don't know how I got on the list. I don't know if I
Yeah.
joined their Discord.
No, they DM'd me because they're like, we like the punks.
Okay, I felt like I did something. Like, it wasn't like I just got it, but I had to do something. And then you got 5 mints.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like, were they under half an ETH?
It was half
was
an
half an ETH.
It's half an
Half an
ETH per.
And then I
Yeah,
minted,
they made fucking bank on
Yeah.
that, man.
I minted a rainbow head that I
That's
held
nice.
until the top. I sold it for like 60 ETH.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
sold all the other ones really quick. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like these. But then this rare one was like, okay, I'll sell all 4 of the floors. We'll hold the rare. And we'll just see what happens.
Right.
And then they cooked.
Yeah.
Like, Nate Alex buying the fucking cat for
Yeah.
$1 bazillion. And
Man, that guy's got crazy conviction. Like to still
mean-
have that now is crazy.
yeah, Nate's a little crazy.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that he did that he'll admit they're fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
he bought that 101 bean.
Yeah, the bean
That's
is so
gonna-
stupid. That one's ridiculous.
When he closes his eyes at night, like, he probably sees the bean somewhere. Like, but it kind of symbolizes, like, all of our bags.
Totally.
Since that point in time.
100%.
What,
But yeah, I went on to piss away a lot of those profits on garbage.
What made you stop pissing away the ETH on 50 lonely aliens, and what made you start pissing it away on art?
Exactly. No, but that's pretty much what led me to do it. Was I remember that huge first big X copy sale over the summer. I think
It's like over 1,000 ETH.
yeah,
It was-
Vincent Van Gogh bought it. I think. And it was like, wow, like there's money to be made in art. And then like that kind of thought just sort of stayed with me for a while. And then I was like, all right, maybe I like start looking at stuff and see if I want to spend money on this. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with it all. Like I've always like enjoyed art. Like I like going to museums. I have friends, a lot of artists. But I never really thought of it as an investment class until I saw that, where it was like, wow, that person has just held on to that art for 4 years, 5 years, and then sold it for a few $1,000,000. I was like, okay, well, that sounds like a better way for me to just park my money somewhere, and then if it appreciates over time, it's better odds than buying all this shit that's just going straight to zero. So
Because you finally realized everyone else minting all this other shit is doing the same thing I'm doing,
Yes.
where we're just trying to make
We're
quick
all-
money and
exactly.
dump this, and maybe the people buying the art aren't trying to do exactly that.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, that's where I shifted my entire focus really from, I guess, probably August. No, not August. Probably September of that year.
Yeah.
And then all throughout 2022, with a few exceptions, and most of last year too. But I mean, I've pretty much, as most of us have, put a pause on art collecting just because there's just it's simply so much harder to spend several ETH on something that you know is not gonna.
You know it's a
So,
liquid. You
yeah.
know that it's probably a zero as soon as you buy it, but you're buying it to help
Mm-hmm. Right.
support that artist and help them continue to create. But
Totally.
like,
And like I regret absolutely none of it. Like I have many multiples more money right now if I didn't really get into art collecting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like the connections that I've made, like the friendships that I've forged, like throughout that whole process, it pays for all of it by mile.
were you hanging out with any of the artists you were collecting from before in New York? Because I
No.
feel like the New York cohort's massive.
Yeah, it is.
Were you exposed to any of them before?
No, I didn't really know anyone in crypto from New York at all up until I got really into art collecting. And I think a lot of that is due to Dave.
Yeah, Dave will do that.
That guy is really
Yeah, he will.
a fucking savant at bringing people together. It's crazy. But yeah, like Dave, Benny, all those motherfuckers, like it all came from me getting into really like art and stuff like that, I guess.
Did you always want to be a lawyer?
So when I was in second grade, my mom and dad were at a parent-teacher conference, and they were like, yeah, or my teacher said, hey, yeah, Chris is, a really good student. He is, very advanced in his reading and everything. He's not so good at paying attention, but he's a strong student. But we have a huge issue, and it's basically that he questions everything that we say to him. And he is willing to argue with us about those things that he questions. So we think you should consider pointing him in the lawyer direction. And literally since then,
Second grade. You're like 7.
Yeah, exactly. So literally since then, it's always been sort of what's been in the cards for me, I guess. And yeah, stuff like Suits and Law and Order and stuff like that. It was like, oh, this looks like a more fun job than sitting at a desk. So yeah.
Damn.
Now I go to court and
you
fulfill that
watched
dream.
Law and Order and you were like, this looks lit. Like
Yeah.
I want to. I had a completely different
Yeah,
experience.
I've had a different experience.
Yeah,
I was watching Law and Order and I'm like, this looks horrible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Never the police part necessarily, but the idea of like standing up in front of a room of people and trying to convince them that my side is more correct than the opponent's.
Were you in like debate and stuff too in high school?
I was, yeah. I've been doing mock trials since high school as well, so it's always been where I was going for sure.
In your blood. What type of, if you can answer this, like what type of lawyer are you right now?
Yeah, so originally I was going to be a prosecutor, but then I realized that they make negative money, and it was like, why am I going to go to law school for 3 years to make a teacher's salary?
Negative money?
Yeah, literally make a teacher's salary. So I do securities law. I'm a securities litigator. It's an interesting dichotomy between what I do for work and what I do outside of work, because my job during the day is quite literally to represent the interests of the institutions that I am actively fighting against with crypto. So it's like, I'm not going to go through their names, but the biggest broker dealers in the country are our main clients.
So that's an interesting relationship to hold in your head all the time. Do you find like a certain resentment for the system, but like also, well, the best opportunity cost of my time is doing this,
right,
and I can maybe help beat the system later on by learning how it works now and getting value from it.
Totally. That's definitely sort of, it's been a weird combo because, there's an obvious opportunity in law to kind of get exposed to the crypto stuff. And I'm in a pretty unique situation there where I have, knowledge of securities work and knowledge of crypto. So I'd love to like steer my career in that direction. The issue is that crypto is in some ways directly opposed to my firm's main clients. So it's a little like they're a little bit resistant to expanding into a crypto side of the business because they know it might piss some of our clients off. So
yeah, and those clients have a lot of money.
Yeah,
don't want to piss them off.
Have you ever considered like going into like, obviously this would be a larger step, but like going into a crypto company and taking on like a GC position or anything like that?
For sure. No, look, if there was an opportunity that arose that was like, I didn't want to pass up, I would go and take that in a heartbeat. It's a very cushy, comfy job. And as demanding as it is, and it is very demanding, I've been up past midnight every night for the past 3 weeks working on law stuff, not even crypto. It's very comfy. It pays okay. Like it's a good job as a lawyer. So it would need to be a pretty good opportunity, but that's a long-winded way for me to say I would absolutely go that route if it was a good enough opportunity.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like something like that, I would just have to like there's a lot of risk of joining a team where the founders are like, it's great that you are telling us all these things, but like, fuck you.
Exactly.
We're doing an ICO.
Exactly.
And you're like, God, please, no.
We're launching a shitcoin pre-sale.
So that's another interesting part of it is I actually applied to one of those jobs recently. I think it was Magic Eden had a posting, and I linked my Twitter. And on my Twitter, I kind of talk a lot of shit about like releasing a token if like you're an NFT company, and I realized as I was doing that, like these people, I might not be the kind of like sentiment that they're looking for out of their legal team.
They just want a yes man, maybe.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
like, yeah, fuck it, yeah. There's
Yeah,
this
you just
want to
have that history of like, no, we hired lawyers, we talked through it all.
Exactly.
wanted
Yeah.
to make sure we did the right
I
thing.
don't think they would want to hear my opinion on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what would make you a good
Yeah.
general counsel. It's
Right.
like you need the person in the room who is like, this sounds great, but like this is pretty illegal.
Right.
Or it's not like super
Well,
great.
like, look, I think that there's ways you can release a token that are not illegal. It's just not the way that most people are choosing
What do
to
you
do it.
think are like the biggest things, the biggest red flags from the people who do release the tokens that could
Obviously,
be?
not legal advice, not
Yeah,
financial
definitely
advice.
not
Definitely
legal.
not legal advice. I'm not,
Never legal advice
I'm not
on this
your
podcast.
lawyer. I'm not anybody who's
Yeah.
listening's lawyer at all. I think the biggest red flag, honestly, is raising money just in general. Like, you really can't do that without some sort of authorization or like some sort of reason to know that people are accredited investors. I think that like the Ripple case did like a lot for making things possible in crypto. And I think that people don't really talk about it all that much because they don't really understand what was written in that opinion. And again, this is not legal advice. This is not any sort of advice, but I think that the only real way to release a protocol at this point that's without drawing the ire of the SEC. And look, like the honest opinion is, if you're small and you're not like raising a shitload of money, the SEC probably isn't going to come for you.
And not explicitly scamming people.
Yeah.
Like it's just probably not going to happen. Like, they have bigger fish to fry. But if you're a big ass protocol, then like, yeah, you could absolutely be on their radar. And I think the only real way to drop things without directly breaking the law is by unannounced airdrops. So not even just like airdrops, because in that opinion they have like a footnote that says, completing tasks to secure these tokens that could still be seen as a illicit raise, basically, because people are exerting effort in return for something. I think that's a stretch. I don't think that's going to be held up. But they said that like programmatic buyers, which means just people who aren't directly sold to, who are just receiving it in a matter of course, without the knowledge of the distributor. So the distributor doesn't know who they are, doesn't know like what they're doing to receive it. Who received something without knowing like that they were going to, was not seen as an illicit raise of securities. So I think that if you don't tell people that you're going to release an airdrop, if you don't like make them complete any specific tasks for, like, I think the points meta is problematic, honestly. Like, I think it's all potentially problematic. I think that right now the most insulated way you can do it is you just open a thing without a token. Like, if you want to airdrop people, then you can, but just don't tell them it's coming, basically.
Yeah, it's like the uni airdrop is kind of
Exactly.
like
I think Uni did it exactly right.
their lawyers without it. This Ripple case, what other big, I guess, like, I've never even really talked about the Ripple case with anybody, let alone somebody who like is a lawyer who can actually read
securities
that
lawyer, yeah.
and digest it. Like, what are some of the other?
This is a big day for me. That was my Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was
that
such
came
a
out,
weird-
yeah.
oh, fuck yeah! Like, we get up in this opinion.
Yeah.
What are some other things from that Ripple lawsuit that you think go under the radar?
Well, I mean, like, there's always the big thing, right? Which is that they say token is not necessarily a security. It's the way that the raise happens, which is huge. Like that fact alone is very big, because for secondary market buyers, then it like, you're basically saying they're not engaging in illicit securities transactions, which is huge, because like no one else can be charged for other than the issuer, which is basically how I interpret it to me, and how I think others probably would too. I think it basically says anything that happens on secondary, it doesn't exactly say this, but it says basically anything that happens on secondary is fine. It's the way that distribution happens, which is what led me to that airdrop conclusion. If there is no primary, then what can the issue be, really?
Interesting.
I don't really remember a whole lot more about it. It's been like a year since I read it, but
Yeah.
those are my two biggest takeaways from it.
So it gives us more areas to operate in, which are less gray and more clear, and
Right.
it gives you some safety, especially as a speculator.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I guess is the way to say it.
yeah, and look, like, I think that, I think we've all known, whether we want to admit it or not, that like some of the ways that these raises happen were probably problematic.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, like I think
I don't know anything.
I think we all know that, and just kind of hoping that it's all good in the long run. And look, by all likelihood it will be. There's only so many cases they can bring, right? And there's a million of these things happening every day.
And so what has been your vibe with like the most recent meme coin stuff and meme coin pre-sales and all of that? Because my non-legal opinion is like, I think just like if you actually make a meme coin and put 100% of the tokens into a liquidity pool, it's probably pretty okay.
Okay.
Depending on what you're doing after the fact.
Okay. Tell me why you think it's okay. I'm interested in that.
Basically, well, I think it would depend whether or not you as the creator are like taking on the onus of like, I am going to pump this meme coin.
Okay. I see
Or
what you
just
mean.
being like, I've made this thing. There's a Telegram people can talk in and a Twitter where people can share, we can share updates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have some sort of central person to like update the DEX screener.
Right. No, I like.
But then after that, like, it's basically kind of going off the same thing. If I then, as a creator, at some point buy 1% of the supply, people don't know that it was me. Kind of going back to the same, like on a secondary purchase, if they don't necessarily know that they're buying your tokens or
Right.
you bought theirs.
No, yeah. Look, like I see that. I think that a security is an investment of money with an expectation of profit, derived from the efforts of others in a common enterprise, right? And so I think that some of these disclosures that you see about stuff is like, this is not an investment. We will not do anything to help this token appreciate. Like, that will never be what we do. Like, I think that kind of stuff could help. I think it's all like, there's no way to know what the SEC is going to interpret things in the future. Like they've been continuously expanding their enforcement actions to include stuff that years ago we probably would have never thought they would try to enforce against. So it's really hard to know and really give a take on any of that. I think that there's things that you can do deliberately to make it a little bit better. And I think saying stuff like, I'm not going to do shit after I release this other than just release it, I think that helps a little bit at least, because
that the pump.fund meta.
Yeah,
we were talking about that earlier.
I think that's interesting from a securities perspective.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you think about pump.fund from the securities perspective?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting, like I've been playing on it, and I haven't made much money on it yet, but
but you know how it works.
Yeah,
you're in the trenches.
I think it's cool. I think, again, that with that, it's sort of like, who do you charge?
Who's the
in that?
issuer?
Yeah, like is it pump.fun, or is the person who put like a contract together? And I think it sort of raises a lot of the ambiguities of like how this shit works in this traditional context of securities law, and the real answer is that it doesn't. It's all fucking nonsense. Like, this is something that was not envisioned by a law that was made in the 1960s. Like, it just
they had no imagination.
Like they would have no reason to think that
internet wasn't even a thing.
Well, and I think you could even make the case with a lot of the meme coins that like the expectation of profit part of it is a little bit ridiculous. Like, you're telling me that you saw the Joe Biden, a picture of Joe Biden wearing a diaper, and you thought, I'm going to make money on this.
Well, I thought the diaper was going to stay on.
And so I think that would also be like be a very interesting argument in court.
It would be my fucking dream to argue this in court. I would be so excited to argue against and like, I handle cases against the SEC all the time. I would love to argue any of this stuff against the SEC in court, because I think that can make a very, like, right now I kind of sound a little doomerish, right? But I'm just basing it off of like the stuff that they bring actions against. It's not about whether they're going to win in those things. I'm just talking about if you want to avoid getting in any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you can argue all of this stuff doesn't really apply against them. I'm just trying to give my take on like stuff that might draw their attention, which I think we all want to avoid right now.
Totally.
I've become so much more aware of the SEC because of crypto. Like, I didn't know anything about the SEC before.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like there's different commissioners. And like Hester is based, and like she's been there for a few years, saying like everything they're doing is redacted.
She spoke at my law school when I was in law school, which was cool, because my one of my professors is in Flamingo DAO.
Aaron?
Oh, nice.
Aaron,
right?
No.
That's funny. So he is another law professor who is in Flamingo DAO.
He's like the founder of Tribute Labs.
She's a woman.
Pre?
No, she's not.
Pre's not alive.
No.
She's an older woman. She said she was in Flamingo DAO.
I believe you.
Maybe she's LARPing. I don't know.
No, she probably is.
She probably knows Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron was
He teaches at what's the law school in the city?
Cardozo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he teaches there.
Yeah.
We need the lawyers.
Yeah.
Like we need the lawyers who will argue on behalf of us.
No,
And to actually understand how it all works.
That's really what I want to do eventually with my time.
I mean, you're at the right spot,
Exactly.
and it'll eventually happen. It's just
I know.
waiting.
I'm patient. Like until then, I'll stick with my miserable, cushy securities job. But for now, but then
Getting that inside info.
eventually, that's what I want to do.
Well, the interesting thing to me about law is how like precedents are used, and when you have something like the Ripple opinion
Yeah.
come out, it's like, okay, now this is now a precedent
Right.
that other people are going to argue, and everything is just like stacked precedents.
Yeah.
So if you can get one precedent through, that's like, well, in this case, so and so, this opinion is this. Then later on, you could get a bigger precedent
Right.
through that opens
No.
up the door for a bunch of shit.
And
So
look, at the reason the Ripple case really fucking matters is that it happened here, right? Like
In New York?
Yeah, it's a securities case in New York, and it's like that's where securities laws are basically decided. And so for now, that's very important controlling precedent. And I think that anybody who's a creator in this space and who's thinking about tokens and stuff should really have their lawyer read that opinion very closely. 'Cause I think it's the most important thing that we've gotten in a very long time.
I'm sure you did. What were your thoughts around all the SBF trial and sentencing and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I lost a lot of money on FTX. A lot of money. So it was nice to see a little bit of vindication there. And there's like really depressing. Did you guys lose money at FTX?
I withdrew like 2 weeks before.
Good for
I
you,
was
bro.
very lucky.
I have this story where I owed the government over $2 million. I had all of it in UST farming Anchor. And I read a tweet very late at night while I was high and was like, I need to withdraw my money. So I took it all out of UST. 3 months later, UST collapsed.
Wow.
All that money went to FTX, to my bank account. But I got it all out in time.
Okay.
So I just like very luckily avoided losing all the tax money I owed and somehow got it all out of my bank
Damn.
account and paid for it.
Damn.
So very thankful. But
Good
I was
for
a
you,
couple
man.
months away from just
Yeah.
like,
It
were
was-
you did
it
you
was-
keep a lot of funds on FTX for like the free yield? Did you
No, I leverage trade a lot. So
Okay.
yeah, it was for that. And yeah, I'll never forget just like trying to log in there one day and I was like, yeah, you can't
It's
get
over.
into this. Yeah, it's done. It's done. So it was nice to see like the vindication a little bit and see him actually have to answer for all that shit. Like I still get mad about it on like a weekly basis whenever we get those like bankruptcy emails. Like that's why I asked if you guys lost any because we still get emails like on like a maybe it's weekly or monthly. I don't really know, but it's like your bankruptcy claim is incoming, and it's like I know the bankruptcy process is a fucking nightmare, and it's gonna be so hard to actually get this money ever. So
and it's been the way I understand it is it's pegged to the book value at the time, which was
exactly.
like the
So
lows. And I'm assuming you weren't keeping dollars, but you had ETH and
I had probably half of it in USD.
Okay, so it does seem like I could be completely wrong, but at some point you may get 100% of the USD value.
Yeah, I mean maybe. Like honestly, I get so angry when I think about it. That
Have you ever thought about selling your claim? Because I know there's
so like that was popping off for a little while. I haven't really looked into it all that much. Like I'm just going to be patient and hope that one day it resolves itself. But
yeah, the guy who I don't know what's his name, John Ray, the guy who like was the bankruptcy for Enron.
yeah,
It's like seeing him come in, I was like, uh oh.
yeah, not great, not great.
This can't be good.
Like I've basically accepted that it's gone. It's still in like my coin stats portfolio tracker, and so I always have to like remember to like deduct that from whatever my portfolio says it's worth.
Do you still leverage trade pretty often, or
Yeah, I know. I like most days. Yeah, I trade. I do a lot of leverage trading.
Do you do a lot of like short term stuff or like longer term?
Yeah, so I have this. I have like a trading bot.
Okay.
And it's like kind of gives signals, and I decide whether to follow or fade that signal, pretty much. And it's been pretty good for me for a while. So
how has this year been for you with like the rise of meme coins and the I don't want to say death of NFTs?
you're
but,
asking
like,
me on like a really dark day because I just lost so much money on Mooncats yesterday.
Wait, what happened yesterday?
Mooncats.
What happened?
We weren't aware. We've been hosting the pod, so we have no phone.
Well, you guys know Mooncats, obviously, at the NFT collection.
Yeah.
There was like an unofficial token released, and first like one came out that looked like really convincing that it was the real one, so I got in really early, and then it rugged. That was gone, and then the real one finally came out, and it like just cratered. And today I sold it for a loss. I think in total I lost like 6 ETH on all of it. So yeah, rough.
Not what you want.
Rough day to ask me how it's been going, but I would say overall it's been pretty good to me. Like I'm still up on the whole season, but not nearly as much as I should be. Like I faded so many huge moves, and I faded ordinals. I faded like I really have been like so busy with work, and I'm getting married, so like I've had to plan.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I had to plan like I'm planning like a wedding and all that shit. So it's been good, but not as good as it should be.
How'd you meet your wife?
Central Park. So she's also a lawyer, and she worked with my really good friend from law school, and my really good friend from law school and I were at like a mutual friend's birthday party, and so she invited her. We met at the park. We had like an after party in my apartment afterwards, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Have you been together how long?
It will be 2 years in July.
Nice. So that's quick. You like
Or
got together.
2 years in June, I guess.
Have you lived together for a minute?
No,
No.
So her parents are very religious, so
Okay.
it wasn't really an option until we got at least engaged. So we're moving in together in August.
Nice.
Yeah,
When's the wedding gonna be?
next February. Yeah,
Nice. You got some time.
yeah, yeah.
We had just like very small wedding, no planning,
Yeah.
courthouse wedding.
Yeah.
Just like me and her. Very thankful my wife is like not a big partier, super introverted, because the anxiety I would have gotten from having to plan a wedding. Like Andy and Allie planned a big wedding, and it was like
It was a lot.
you guys were testing the
Yeah.
venue out like a year before, and like
Yeah.
just hearing you talk about it gave me anxiety.
How big was your wedding?
It wasn't that big people wise. It was just like a lot to plan, but it was like 100 people.
Gotcha. Yeah, our wedding is gonna be pretty big. There's like 250 people coming. It's gonna be a nightmare.
Big families.
Yeah, so I'm.
She got the religious family.
My dad's born and raised in Ireland, so like I have a big Irish family.
Oh, that's
That'll be
And-
fun.
Yeah, and she and her parents are both from Egypt, so she has like a huge
Oh, shit.
Egyptian family. It's a really interesting mix. Yeah.
Did you ever live in Ireland?
So we used to go like every single summer to go see family over there, but I never lived over there. No, not long term. I lived in Spain for 6 months.
Oh, cool.
On
Where
a
about?
study abroad. Yeah, Barcelona and Madrid. I split my time. It was a study abroad program.
Nice. Allie, my wife's parents lived in Madrid for a couple of years, and
I love Madrid. It's awesome.
I think Madrid. I like Madrid more than Barcelona personally.
Yeah, I think Madrid's like New York in Spain.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Barcelona is more like San Diego or something.
Yeah, but yeah, and we spent 2 summers ago at this point. We spent like a month in Madrid and a month in Barcelona each.
Awesome.
And like we weren't vacationing, so we like kind of lived there, just like
Yeah.
shorter term. But I love both cities. Spain is just amazing.
Yeah, it's
I
my
really,
favorite place
really
in the
like
world.
Spain.
If I lived anywhere besides United States, it'd be Spain for sure.
Really?
Yeah, I love it there.
They have good tax laws?
It's a good question. I don't know. That.
So they
I know Portugal does.
they're
Yeah.
pretty good. They have. I've looked into this because I've looked into all the different golden visa programs, and they're one of them. They have like pretty decent long-term capital gains taxes.
like
Nice.
under 20%.
I think it's under 10%.
Wow. I might be going to Spain, bro.
Yeah, a couple of the European cities have like really, really generous long-term cap gains tax situations. And I know Spain is one of them from what I can remember. I think their short-term stuff is a little more aggressive, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, more aggressive than here because this place.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, I feel like New York residents get it the
Yeah.
worst
We get
of
crushed.
any American. Like you guys are paying an extra what, like 12%, or
Yeah,
is it
12%.
more?
That's right. Yeah. So between
Like, that's-
so I say like I learned about capital gains for the first time from Walton Coin. No, I really learned about capital gains
Last
last or 2 years ago, I guess. when-
2021.
Yeah, following 2021 when I rolled almost all my profits into art that I couldn't sell, and
Yeah,
I had
fuck.
so much. I made a bunch of money, and it was like, wow, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I figured it out eventually, but yeah.
That's the most stressful part, I think, for the people who make a bunch is like, oh, wow,
But
I owe on all the USD basis of everything I did,
Yeah.
and none of the ETH that I made or lost matters.
Right.
Because now it's worth half, and I need to sell it to get the
Yeah.
USD that I owe them.
I'm like so worried about like the younger people who are really into like shit coins right now. It's like I don't think they realize what's about to happen.
So
Afterwards.
this is why Shill Andy's wife on our podcast. She's our accountant.
Oh, okay, awesome.
So she is the one who tells us every quarter, hey, don't be too big of an idiot. You got to pay this.
Yeah,
And then doing the quarterly stuff was a game changer for me.
I probably need to start doing that.
When you do it quarterly, you have this idea in your head of like, okay, like I owe this much, and next quarter I'll add to that.
It seems just more manageable. Yeah, I need to.
When you just do it at the end of the year, like, well, I don't remember what I did in January,
Right.
and then you're like, I made $400,000 in January. Like, when did I do that? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But, so you said you're fading ordinals. What is it? Just busy? Busyness?
No, I faded. I wish I didn't. Like I'm not intentionally fading it. It's
Yeah.
just like I kept thinking like, oh, like I'm too late now, and then it was like, yeah, I'll never forget you fucking posting the puppets, and it was like, and I was like, that's pretty funny, and just kept going about my day, and now I just think back to that moment all the time, because like that's why I like did really well with NFTs, was like I saw a rotation happening, I went heavy into it, and then I did well, and I just haven't really done that so well.
Yeah, the
this time.
rotations this year were definitely mid to late November. Felt like a really big shift of like,
Yeah.
oh, Solana is getting attention.
Yeah.
Like I need to be on Solana.
Yeah.
Tensorians popped off.
Right.
Mad Lads are popping off.
It's
The-
crazy, man. The whole thing is just like a market of rotations,
Yeah.
I think.
You got to follow that hot ball
Yeah.
money.
It's-
But I'm also, yeah, the more money you get, the more it's like, okay, well, I'll just keep a lot in Sol or
Right.
Bitcoin, and then I'll go hands off on that. And then I'll get really silly with like 10 or 20%.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the complacency effect is so real. Like you're just like, oh, like I'm good, like whatever, and then all of a sudden, like you see like people making, you're like, wow, I could have exponentially grown where I'm at, and yeah.
Yeah, if
gotta be
you
better about it.
take 1% of your portfolio and you put it into something that does 100x, your portfolio doubled.
Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard to think about it that way.
And
in the
it's
moment,
like-
but yeah,
Take a couple shots.
Yeah.
The puppets. I don't think I'm up 100x, but I will
You're
be.
close though.
I will
Yeah.
be.
After it goes to zero and you
After
buy
they
more.
will be, I'll be up 100x at 0.
Yeah.
But like those bets, I don't appropriately size them. Like
Yeah.
I should have had a way bigger bet on puppets and nodes.
I really thought about like bringing just one Bitcoin over, because I got like that's like I made a huge investment in Bitcoin when USDC depegged
Oh,
last
nice.
year. Like that's like the first time I bought Bitcoin since 2020 probably, and obviously it's done very well since then.
What was going through your mind that night? Because I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah, I was like, there was two. It was like two angels, or an angel and a devil on one shoulder. It's like, this shit's over, or you need to make a move. So then, I mean, I was heavy in stable coins. So I was like, all right, fuck it, Bitcoin. Like if anything's gonna survive this, it will be Bitcoin.
When you were heavy in stables, were you 100% in USDC?
no,
Or were you in USDT and others?
I diversify across different stable coins.
You like die.
Yeah.
Are you messing with Athena at all right now?
No, so like that's another one where like I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm too late, and then I obviously was not fucking too late. It's going up every fucking day. So.
Well, no, not the Athena token. I mean, just the stable too.
Oh
'Cause
yeah, I haven't really done too much of that.
So they have this Athena stable that is basically paying you the funding that people are paying to long Ethereum.
Got it.
That's,
Yeah, that makes sense.
They basically let me make sure Arthur's Hayes article lays it out, but it's basically you take an ETH or amount of ETH, put it into Athena, you get the dollars generated, and then they short ETH at 1x leverage. They're getting
Interesting.
paid the funding on shorting ETH because everyone wants to long ETH right now, and funding
Right.
is very high. Like funding is over 50% annualized.
Right.
So they're taking the yield from their short position that's minting those
I
dollars,
see.
and it's
That's
going.
super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
so-
I,
and so
I, I
it's-
really.
And
It
it's
actually
also it's
feels
holding
not-
holding staked ETH, not just ETH. So it's getting like the 6% annual from staked ETH.
Yes.
And also then 1x leverage shorting Ethereum and making the funding.
That's
and it pays
really
out
cool.
all the interest.
That's really.
So
cool.
then there's a world where like it's a bear market and funding is negative. What does that yield look like? I'm not 100% certain. Like, is it just the staked ETH yield at that
Well,
point?
maybe they pivot at that point. They can do something slightly different if like the nature of the game changes. It probably wouldn't be too hard to shift from going.
But this was like the
short to
first
long.
stablecoin I've seen with a high APY that doesn't feel like UST
Nonsense.
on
Yeah.
Anchor. It's like, oh, well, like I know where the yield is coming from, so I'm not the yield here.
Yeah.
Where with like UST, it was like, where's the yield coming from? Are they just printing more money
Yeah.
and giving it to us?
I think that like some people are getting so creative with this stuff, man. I think Blast is another really good example of like people doing stuff so creatively just from like the fact that you're automatically earning yield just from like having ETH there. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's something we were talking about on a previous podcast, and I was saying like from a developer's perspective, just not having to have that one extra hurdle
Right.
of now let me stake this or let me deposit this into a protocol is like actually very
Yeah.
meaningful.
Yeah.
It's like 10x plus better.
I was in like this project and it was like the guy like never did anything with it. I was really disappointed, but it was like he sold like a bunch of NFTs for 0.5 ETH. So it was like a very high, like expensive raise, but 100% of the ETH just stayed in the contract, and you could at any point burn the NFT to get a full refund on what you minted. And he, in the meantime, was just earning yield on that ETH in Blast points. So he just kept it all, and it was I think there's something he was close to coming up with something really crazy. I think where it's like ETH backed NFTs almost.
Well, you were doing something today with a bonding curve, and like you could buy and sell into the curve.
Yeah, that was more like shitcoin NFTs.
Yeah,
than-
the
that was
404s.
Have you seen any like the 404
Yeah,
NFT stuff?
definitely,
Yeah. Yeah, one of those
I
projects.
know the guy
launched,
who did the DN 404 one pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Harrison.
yeah, there's a flooring protocol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just launched the like Underworld PFP collection today, and so
Wait, I completely missed that. That's what you were doing?
yeah, that's what
So it was a Flooring Labs official.
Yeah.
yeah, or at least like in collaboration
I
with
got
them
you.
or something.
Okay, I thought it was just something random. I was like,
no,
oh, yeah,
no,
these
that
noise.
was that was why, because it was like Flooring Labs promoted or associated. I don't really know what the connection
Have you
is.
messed with Flooring Labs at all? The protocol?
A tiny bit. It just looks like NFTX to me.
Yeah, I haven't really done that much of that yet.
It feels like NFTX, but the founder funded the liquidity.
Which actually matters a lot.
Yeah,
that makes a
well,
big
you have the
difference.
cold start problem of like, how the fuck do we get liquidity on these
Right.
illiquid things? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, if I buy $10+ million worth of them and do the liquidity myself, maybe
Yeah.
we could start it. Because we had that problem on Fractional. It was like, how do we incentivize people to put liquidity when we don't have a token to
Right.
incentivize them with?
Yeah, I'm so sad that Fractional is not around anymore. I thought that shit was so cool.
I feel like we've talked about this, but we were just like 2 cycles early.
yeah,
The-
exactly. No, right now, that shit would probably go wild.
I think the peak of next cycle, it will be. Right now, we're starting to see it abstracted, like the 404s.
Yeah,
It's kind of fractional,
very
but
similar.
not really.
Yeah, shitcoin.
I feel like the
fractional.
people who buy the 404s are like 90+% shitcoiners who don't care about the image component.
Not at all. Yeah.
So it's like there's still some happy medium to be done. And I think we were on to something with the 1155s because like people put those in their galleries and like they like showing them off.
Yeah.
But it needs to happen on an L2, number one. It needs to be on like Base or Blast. Doing it on ETH was just like
Decent.
your target demographic has a expendable income of $250 they want to put in, and then by the time they're done doing whatever they need to do, they spent 50 to 100 in gas. And
Right.
it's just
It's
like,
tough. Yeah.
did you own any of the fractions?
I did. Yeah.
Do you still have the hoodie at all? I don't know if you had a hoodie.
No, I had it was like I think it was like a Meg Bat
Gotcha.
photo or something like that. I think
It was like the photo vault stuff. Was
yeah,
that-
something like that. And I think I might still have that.
So the
That
site
token.
still exists on
Yeah.
IPFS,
Yeah.
and when you log in with your wallet, it shows you
Yeah.
what you have. But I don't think there's a way for people to discover it if they don't own the
Yeah,
fraction.
Yeah,
no,
no.
and
'Cause
look,
it's
it was like 10 of us invested in this thing together as like a fraction, and like wasn't that much. I just assumed that we were just doing it to support somebody. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't
so you can still, if you were able to get 50% of the people, you can actually buy it out still.
Cool.
So like the art, everything's still there, contracts still work. It's just on IPFS because
Yeah.
we have this hoodie punk that I still own 30% of that thing,
really that's pretty
and
cool.
that's like
That's a valuable investment.
yeah, 30% of that punk right now. That punk's probably worth 150 ETH.
Yeah.
So like
50
it's,
ETH. Yeah.
it's pretty comfy.
Yeah.
It shows up in my portfolio, which is a pain in the ass because like I'll open up Zerion, it's like you own, and it's trading at like a 50% discount to what it's worth. Like it's telling me that 50 ETH is worth like 30K.
Right.
But I still see it, and I'm like, this is pretty sizable. Like
Yeah.
going back to shitcoining and
Yeah.
pump.fun, are you spending most of your time now on like Solana shitcoins, or are you?
Well, I'm doing a lot better on Solana than I am on Base, just because I don't know. It seems like people are paying less attention to Solana and more to Base now, and so I think that like people who are still at Solana are really looking for like the big wins, and that's what I'm trying to do. And Base has just continuously gotten more and more short-sighted and quick to
I'm
sell.
also losing more money on base.
yeah,
I also lost my money.
yeah, it's crazy, man.
So like, what's going on there? Okay, maybe we need to pick apart why we're losing money on base.
Yeah.
Are you buying the top of things, or are you round tripping?
No, I've always been sort of into sniping. I've had a banana.
You got the bots.
Yeah, I've had a banana account since banana became a thing.
Rip
and
Unibot.
was doing really good. Yeah, dude, Unibot sucks.
What a fumble.
Yeah, they had a 10-3 lead in the first half and somehow fucked it up.
They were the Atlanta Falcons
Yeah.
against the Patriots.
Yeah,
and they botched
36-3 or whatever it was. Yeah.
So you're sniping. What's been your most memorable snipe?
Probably. Now, well, Boom wasn't really a snipe, but that's just like a big recent win.
Let's talk about Bone.
Yeah, I got there. I got in. I wasn't in the pre-sale. I missed the pre-sale entirely, but I was just sitting there monitoring for such a long time, and it dropped in at 3 in the morning or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Because
I
I went
was
to
asleep. I got
bed.
fucked.
Yeah,
I went to bed at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
and I woke up and the price was way up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I got to sell half.
I was literally up because of work.
Fuck yeah. So you're up at 3 a.m.
and my scanner went off, and it was like, these wallets are buying this contract, and it was like, wow, okay. And then I went heavy into it.
You don't see this every day.
I think I got in at like 6 million or something like that, and that was really, really nice. Probably my best snipe ever. What was it? Asterix was pretty good, which was like that new 404 that came out that like the team from 404 was kind of involved in.
That's a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, and then there's a bunch from way back when that had really good situations for us.
Getting into Bohm at 6. When did you fully exit Bohm? Or I'm assuming you fully exit.
Yeah, I'm pretty much I'm fully out.
My
now.
dumbass. I'm still holding a third of what I got from the pre-sale because I'm an idiot.
I mean, look, like you're sitting pretty, right? Like it was. I threw a lot into it, so I couldn't really justify holding on to it.
I put
'cause
in 10 soul.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was gonna do. If I had known, it would have been a lot better. I think that I got most of it out somewhere around like 150, 200 million, which was still, 20x, whatever it is. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, or 40x, I guess.
And it's on size.
Yeah.
Because you knew when you saw it that like, oh, look at this liquidity pool.
Well, I love Dark Farms, man. Like he was my profile picture for a while. I had that little bear.
Oh yeah, you were the
yeah,
before the pump.
Yeah, I love that guy. And he's like such a good dude. I'm so happy that it all went so well for him. But yeah.
Did the event yesterday? They gave out these like little plushies.
Yeah. How was that? Was it good? Was it a good event?
Yeah, I mean he wasn't there.
Oh really?
Well, he did a AMA and like a robotic voice of
like a
very
voice modifier.
Very mommy. Like
Yeah.
it was like a 3-minute put together clip of like here's 5 questions with an answer.
Got it.
But the people who were there, like somebody said Balaji was there. I wasn't gonna go introduce myself. I was running on 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I looked over. It kind of looked like it could have been Balaji, but I was like, I'm not gonna go
Yeah,
introduce
it
myself to this guy.
Seems like a tax at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. I find it very hard to go up to people that I know that don't know me and
Totally.
be like,
Totally. Yeah. I need to know someone like really well.
I need someone to drag me up to them.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember the first time Redbeard dragged me up to Beeple.
Yeah.
Because I was like talking to people in DMs, had no idea what I looked like. People was getting swarmed by people, and I'm like,
Right.
Redbeard, I don't want to go bother him. Like,
Yeah.
it was in Charleston.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And then he drugged me up, and it was like a nice, like I got a minute of his time, but I still felt bad.
Yeah.
And that was like somebody I had talked to in DMs and
Yeah.
like known actually. So
Right.
like Balaji, like he doesn't know who the fuck I am.
Benny's a good dragger because the first time I met you was Benny dragging me up to you and being like, "Yeah, you want to meet these?"
Like, Benny,
Yeah.
we need more draggers. Like
Yeah.
Dave and Benny are
Yeah.
are the draggers.
Draggers.
What things excite you about the space right now?
The fact that the price is going up.
Yeah, that's
no,
exciting.
but-
The
but-
tech,
but-
tech is looking
but
good.
Honestly, I think as much hate as Blast has gotten, especially after that shit that went down with the what was it called again?
Munchables.
Oh, we should talk
I'm
about
still
Munchables.
waiting to get my ETH back.
Yeah.
There's all of us have money in Munchables.
Really? Yeah.
Not
I didn't. Like as bad as that was, like I still think that I just said this, but the concept of native yield is so interesting. Like that's like really what I think DeFi was always trying to do, is like recreate this idea of what money can do for you while it's just sitting idly by.
that was an idea with Yearn.
Right,
It was like, what
exactly,
if we
yeah.
just use YUSDC instead of USDC?
Right.
And then I don't hear much about Yearn anymore.
I mean, it's not used a whole lot. I don't think as much.
There was this mini pump. Like, I don't know what happened, but if you look on the Yearn chart, like one day it 3x'd and then it's just been slowing
Yeah.
down since. I was like, oh, what the fuck?
like
news
what
came out?
happened. Yeah.
But we had this idea back then that, like, hey, we could get free money if we use another type of money.
Right.
And now it's built into the chain and you're forced to get
yeah,
free money.
and like I think that the reason that I think it's like the next step towards what we're trying to achieve, which is just somehow infinite money glitch, right? Is they like it's removed the idea that you need to purchase something other than ETH to get this new thing. Like you don't even have to let go of like your custody of the ETH. You don't need to do anything with it. It's just fucking there, and then you're earning interest on it from just having it on there, and it's interest that you would never see in a traditional finance situation. So
Oh, no, I mean, I'm getting 5% on bonds on my Fidelity account, and it's super,
yeah,
you know. I look at that money and I want to just put it in blast,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, well, I have it in there for a reason.
right,
And the reason isn't to maximize the yield.
right,
But what if it was making an extra 10%?
right,
That would be pretty nice.
yeah.
And then I don't move it out because next thing I know, it's all into yield. And then I'm like, whoa, where'd my money go? I'm like, I
Right.
just fucking.
I've been robbed.
Well, like the reason that like I'm so excited about it, because like we're all big NFT people here, right? Is I think like that thing I was talking about earlier, it really sort of opens this door of like an almost risk-free investment, where if some people can like raise enough money, they can just eat off of like the yield that they're earning from like the money that they've raised, and then they don't even necessarily need to do like a full refund. Like let's say like you sell something for 0.5 and you guarantee 0.3 ETH of that sale, and then you keep the other 0.2. So at a minimum, like the artist or the project or whatever is earning 0.2 ETH on each NFT sale, which is still like a lot of money per NFT if you sell a lot.
But
of
you
them.
have it backstopped.
But like at like the investor is protected on the downside. So like that, like at a maximum, you will lose 0.2 ETH on this NFT sale if everything goes wrong and it never gets any volume. And I think that is sort of like it's just an interesting dynamic of like, we've seen NFTs go from fucking like I paid 0.3 or 0.1 ETH for this, and now it's worth $0. And that happened with the vast majority of them. And I think that this sort of system solves that.
So how, if you just like to unpack that,
Yeah.
say there's a half ETH mint that guarantees 0.3 back.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not just sell it for 0.2? And then just if it goes to 0, you lost the same amount. Like there's this like because I think Andy, what was the idols? Like
Yeah, it
I
was
think
a
you helped
similar
advise
thing.
it. It was like they took the mint ETH and then they staked it and then they gave I think it was like depending on how many of the NFTs you own, like you got a proportion of the staked ETH. So it's like
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is that you'd be more inventive like that. Like you sell it, or you distribute the blast gold
Yeah.
to people, and the more
because I think I
that's
had to
invested.
claim it because I sold a couple, but they were
Yeah.
still worth like what I paid for them.
Yeah,
Yeah, those were interesting. I think it was a little bit too all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting because at the time, not that many people. I'm still shocked at how many people don't stake their shit. Solana people stake a lot more than ETH people.
right,
But like, I think less than 50% of Ethereum is staked,
right. Well, like the other thing that
which
I think
feels
is
crazy.
like the other thing I think hasn't really been explored at all in this area, and it's like just like where my mind sort of went after I saw that project I was talking about earlier, is like, okay, let's say that you guarantee 0.3 ETH out of the 0.5 sale, right? As more and more people sell, like let's say like all of the ETH goes in the contract. You're only guaranteeing 0.3 of it to people, like when it first comes out.
Sold 10,000. You
Let's say-
got 5,000 ETH in the contract. You're guaranteeing 3,000 of that 5,000 for
So
people.
let's say like as time goes on, you slowly but surely raise the guarantee. So as more people set like burn their shit to get their ETH back, let's say that there's only like 2,000 people left, and all of a sudden now you have more than enough ETH left in the contract to guarantee up to 0.4. So that, like, it's almost like a declining value. So like last person standing is able to exit in absolute profit if they are still there when everyone else has burned their stuff.
Yeah, and then that's assuming the yield generated has been accumulating a decent amount of value. Because I think right now it's like 4% on ETH, but it's in ETH too.
Right.
So we all have this delusional belief together that like Ethereum is going to keep going up. So if I'm making 4% on ETH, I'm actually
Right.
making like greater than 4% in dollar
Yeah.
terms.
Yeah.
That's why I love Solana. It's like I'm getting 7% in Solana,
Yeah.
and I think Solana is going to go up triple the price. Like,
Yeah. No,
that-
I'm
what
bullish
type
on
of
Solana.
deal?
Yeah. There was someone reached out to me recently about potentially purchasing locked Solana from FTX. Did anyone reach out to you about that? It's pretty interesting. It was like you're basically getting Solana.
I have my DMs closed now,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
maybe they didn't get through.
Yeah. It's basically
What's
like
the deal?
this guy has some opportunity where you can buy Solana from the FTX Foundation, basically at like a very low mark. It's like a markdown. I think it's like you get like 60% off the current market price for it.
But how long is it locked? Is it just
Exactly. No, it's locked for a very fucking long. That's why I didn't do it. It's locked for like
5 years or something, right?
something like that.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like-
selling it this cycle.
Yeah.
For people listening, at some point this cycle, 90% of my Solana will be converted into dollars.
Yeah, no, I passed so hard on it because I was like, all right, what's the lockup cycle like? And he's like, yeah, it was something like 5 years, something like that.
Have you made any angel investments in any companies in the
I
space?
have, yeah. I've tried to go like a little bit multi-chain with it, just like spreading my bets a little bit, because I don't know which one's going to make it. Like I'm in the pallet round for Say.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
the NFT exchange.
Is it Sai?
I say like Saiyan.
That's what
I
thought.
say as well.
Yeah,
Because
okay,
I've seen
got
the
it.
meme coin Saiyan.
Yeah,
And if it was called Cyan, that would
That
be
wouldn't work so well.
stupid.
yeah. So yeah, okay.
Say, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in that one. I'm in Scallop on Sui, which is like their Aave.
Got you.
And yeah, a few others that just all around the place. But
So you're using all sorts of chains then. I don't
Yeah.
even, I have the, is it Compass wallet for Psy? It's like an
I
offshoot
use
of Leap.
Suet, is what it's
Okay.
called. But
But I don't have anything on Sui. Bernardo from Schiller Team,
yeah,
super early to this, the meme coin on Sui, the Suicune meme.
oh yeah,
He's been trying to get me to buy the Suicune meme forever. He's up good money
Yeah,
on
I
it.
bet.
But like, I'm like, I don't want to go to a new chain.
Yeah.
Just buy a new shit coin.
yeah. No, I did that with Metis, and I bought.
Wait, where was Metis?
You know what Metis is? It's so Vitalix.
Vitalik's mom's.
Yeah,
Wait.
his mom's blockchain.
What?
You don't know about Metis?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I don't-
Vitalik's mom's L2.
yeah,
It's an L2 of ETH.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought she made her own L1 or something. Like,
No, yeah,
like a
it's-
Sui or like a
It's an
Psy.
L2 of ETH, yeah, and her cat's name is Barsic, so I bought Barsic, and it went really well at first, and now it's back to where I entered pretty much.
Nice. Do you normally find that you round trip these type of things, or do you normally find?
No,
that-
I usually, if anything, I skew more towards selling too early.
Okay.
But shit like that, where it's like an unused chain, I'm thinking like, okay, long term, I'm just gonna hold on to this because if it ever catches a wave, then this will be the thing to be in.
Have you been on Farcaster at all?
So I've like lurked. I haven't done anything there yet, and
Yeah.
I know that, and I recognize the depth of my mistake.
After the third
Yeah.
degenerate drop?
Yeah. I've played around the Gen chain a little bit. I think that's just fun, but
What are you into on Degen chain? Like Degen swap and the shitters?
yeah, stuff like
DUSD
that. Yeah,
on
just whatever
Mint
whatever
Club.
garbage.
What's it,
comes out
Degen
that day.
Pepe?
Yeah,
People are in my DMs talking about Degen Pepe, and I'm like,
dude, I'm so out on.
why
all
wouldn't I just buy
derivatives.
Degen? I think, was that you yesterday who brought up like, this all just makes me more bullish on owning Degen itself rather than
Right.
like
For sure.
gambling my Degen to make more Degen off the
Yeah.
other shit.
If
when-
any of this shit's gonna work, that means Degen's gotta go up.
and it's a
hell of
one-way
lot.
bridge apparently, or
Yeah.
like,
Essentially.
Yeah, there's been a few things that have come out now that you can use to get off a little quicker.
There's
But-
like no liquidity on the one that
Yeah.
on Relay.
Yeah.
There's like 34 degen of liquidity last I
yeah,
checked.
nice.
that's 34 Degen.
It's like
Yeah.
$70, something like that, right?
No, that's like
It's like a
35
penny.
cents a token.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
like
$1.
not even $1.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
It's not
I saw
great.
I saw that they had DGen support, and I was like, oh, cool. Let me see. And I don't even have that much on there. And then I was like, oh no, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
But the worst is when you're looking at bridges and you're not paying attention to the rates, and you're just like, I'm gonna get it wrecked.
Yeah.
Like some of these ETH bridges, even like I'm looking and I'm like, I'm gonna lose like 10% of my ETH if I go across this thing. Like, let me not do this.
Yeah, they really sneaked that in at the last second. But I guess the other thing that I'm excited about within this whole world is like I think that eventually, and I don't know when it's going to be, it could be a few years from now, but I think that eventually there will be another art wave of like everybody being excited about like supporting artists and artists like coming into the space because they see the opportunity. It just takes like a few really big sales for that to happen, right? And I think that like that was this whole world at its finest when that was like the wave. Like I think that we saw like such a pure excitement and happiness being brought to people who usually have never seen that happen before.
It still has ramifications to this day. Like yesterday, the events I went to were very artist centric.
For sure.
It was the Accelerate Art event. It was Dark Farms, and I was at the Schiller event. And a lot of artists who I haven't bought a piece of theirs since 2021 still like, I feel like they're almost too grateful for like what I did. I'm like, I'm just a guy who got lucky and like I wanted to give back and like support some cool people. And like it's 3 years later and they still like remember that. Like they say like, you gave me hope. And I'm like,
it's so true, man.
I just hosted a Twitter space and letting you talk and like share your story.
Yeah, I think there's like I'm inviting like 3 or 4 artists to my wedding. Like it's like real fucking friendships were made out of all this shit, and it's I don't know. I think that was like the best example of like crypto as like a net positive.
I think it'll come back toward the end of the cycle.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
For me right now, it feels like I think a Q1 2021.
Yeah.
Q2.
Well, because like the fact of the matter is even right now, you have the one random friend who accidentally pulled a 100x with decent size on Whiff or whatever else, and they're like, "Holy shit, I'm rich." But like most of the people that you interact with on a daily basis they're not like, "Wow, I cannot believe how rich I am right now." And like that was how it was when people were like seriously spending money on art and things like that. Everyone was like, I don't even know what to do with all the money.
Right. Where is this money coming from?
That's so fucking
And we're just not
accurate,
even
man.
close to that yet.
Yeah.
And that's why when I see people being like, oh, like, you know, things are going down, time to doom post and stuff, I'm like, did you guys forget what people were acting like in like early 2022? Did you forget how people were?
It like money was just like it just didn't matter. Like nothing mattered. And like you like it's like people are starting to see like little spurts of it. But the reason I don't think the top is anywhere close to now is just like it just felt like everybody had like money at that point.
Yeah.
Like not just like people who were good traders, like people who were doing well. Like it just felt like everybody had just printed and like just throw money at the wall.
I'm waiting for that August 2021 moment of like Visa buys a punk, that thing goes way up, art blocks explode, billionaires come in. Like we see right now some smart buyers like Canvas, Derek Edward was talking about the people buying the autoglyphs and the 2 alien punk, like 2 alien punks sold in the last month. Like
it's crazy.
No one cares.
Yeah, like completely ignored. Like I'm seeing posts about like punks are about to get liquidated.
Like
on
punks
Blend or
are
something.
going down. Like punks might be down 10 ETH from the 2 alien sales.
Yeah,
like that's
crazy to me.
Last cycle when Flamingo bought the alien from Seth, it was like a bullish catalyst. They went to Christie's. Now it's like, oh yeah, of course they're selling for that, but like who cares?
I think that like NFTs were super gambly, right? Like they really were. But I think that we're seeing like an exponential increase in it with meme coins, and I think people are frankly like addicted to it.
Oh, I'm addicted.
Like I'm so addicted, and like I feel so bad. Like my poor fiance just gets kind of like ignored sometimes because I'm like, I'm in this shit that might go to zero, and if I look up from my phone, then like I might lose like a few $1,000s.
If I make eye contact with you, babe, I might lose it all.
It's like, you don't understand. My transactions are not going through. Someone's destroying the chart right now. Like, I need to get out.
You just lost half the wedding in the last 3 seconds. I looked into your eyes.
That's so true, man. Like, and again, I feel so bad for her because like the timing of her telling me like a new expense that's going to go along with this wedding almost always aligns with me just having gotten rocked on a fucking coin.
That is something that I think is like such a true just like piece of life is if there is ever something that you're going to have to withdraw money from crypto for, it is almost a guarantee that within a week prior to when you are going to withdraw that money, you are going to
You're gonna
lose a
get dick
non-trivial
slapped,
amount of
yeah.
money. You are going to get totally fucked.
Yeah, it's crazy. It always times out that way.
Hey babe, new car. We need a new roof on the place. It's gonna be like 15 grand. And you're like, yeah, we just lost like 7 roofs on.
I thought Nubcat was the next whiff, and it actually wasn't.
Did you see the memes on the
Yeah.
Twitter, dude?
You don't
Yeah,
understand.
that's
The Telegram stickers were so good.
Yeah,
Babe.
but I really haven't told her all that much about the meme coin stuff because she would get so mad.
What is, so you said she's a lawyer as well.
She is, yeah.
What is her like area of expertise within law?
She's an M&A lawyer, so very extremely different kinds of law. She does like contract work and like helping with acquisitions and stuff like that.
And what does she think of the whole crypto world? And
She didn't really know anything about it before we started dating, and she doesn't really have a strong opinion about it one way or the other. I think that she sees that I really am passionate about it, and she sees that like it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us hopefully later in life. So she's pretty supportive. She gets annoyed by how much time it takes, obviously.
I think that everyone's partner in this
Yeah.
room
Definitely.
can relate to
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think luckily, at least for you, Allie is like in the trenches on the tax side. For me, Jess is just like pretty active on social media and paying attention to stuff. For him, Claudia is like an artist as well, doing dope shit. So it's like
Very cool.
they kind of get it, but it's also every spouse wants more time with their spouse.
course.
Like they don't want less.
And look, I do spend a lot of time on it, and like my job is already really demanding. So like she has been getting the raw end of the stick, particularly recently.
That's when like you cash out a nice win, and then it's like, okay, this is like our week in
Yeah.
I don't know, fuck Cabo, or
Yeah,
like this
something
is
like
our
that.
week in I don't know Miami. Like,
Yeah, right,
just-
right now it's all going to the wedding because it's going to be expensive.
What is
that-
it fucking expensive?
Dude,
Are you
it's
guys
such
doing
robbery.
it in the city or are you going somewhere else?
We almost did in the city, and then we realized that like with the amount of people that we have, there's only really like 3 options,
and it's really expensive
and
to
it's like
do those big places.
If you just go 20 minutes outside the city of Jersey, you can get so much more, and like it'll be a lot nicer. It just won't be in New York, and so yeah, we're doing it. She's also from Jersey, so we're doing it in Jersey. But the whole industry, man, like you want to talk about crypto as a scam, the wedding industry.
Oh yeah.
Like-
oh, you want to have chairs at your wedding? That's an extra $10,000.
Dude, yes, like and like,
what?
dude, it's the
So
stupid.
I never had to deal with this.
It's,
We
dude,
paid
alright, so-
less than $1,000. I got married. At the
You think
courthouse.
about like New York. You bring all like 10 of your best friends out in New York, and like you're paying for dinner. A really, really fucking nice dinner is going to be like $300 a head.
Yep.
And like all in $300 a head. All the food's going to be amazing. Like everyone's going to drink awesome drinks, and like it's going to be a great time. The ambiance is going to be amazing. You go to a wedding, it's going to be about $300 a head, and the food is mass produced and kind of gross, and like none of it's like worth the money at all. But
It's not
the fa-
omakase at your
Yeah.
favorite sushi place.
Exactly.
And that was why we didn't even do a seated dinner at our wedding. We
I
just
wish we
did
weren't
we
doing
did
that.
past hors d'oeuvres and then like stations and stuff with like tacos and stuff, and it was all really good.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it
'Cause I
was.
feel like our experience was every wedding we went to, the like cocktail hour food was so much better
Yeah.
than the seated meal.
Yeah.
And so you're like, all right, fuck the seated meal. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like, we
Double
don't-
the cocktail. hour.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it was. It's such a fucking. It's so ridiculous.
Do you take your wife around to like sauced with?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah, she knows all those people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, she gets along super well with them, and she really like. She loves that part of it too, which like she's like very supportive of me like having friends that I met online, which is
Yeah.
you know,
That for my wife, that was the biggest thing where like when we started going to these events, she's like, this is very real. Like people are coming up to you and like they're really excited to talk to
Yeah.
you, and like you're for whatever reason something in this community,
Yeah.
and like all that shit you're doing online didn't seem real, but
Yeah.
now that we're here, it's like this is very real. And
100%.
then it lends to the credibility of like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not spending 16 hours
Yeah.
jacking off on pump.fun, just like trying to fucking hit 100x. But
Yeah.
it's like there's deep connections being made,
Right.
you friends for life
No,
throughout
and,
this
and like I
stuff.
think that's really what is so awesome about the art side of shit is that like people in that area as opposed to like the pure DeFi or meme coin shit who are really just an online situation. Like the art stuff, like the IRL connections that kind of come from it are so fucking real and like so like awesome, and like you really hang out with people who are super dope. rather than just people who are trying to dump on each other. And because like you can't do that with art.
There
really,
are
so.
super dope people who are also trying to dump on each other. Like,
For
I
sure.
mean,
For sure.
But
I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying the group as a whole tends to be less into the interpersonal stuff than they are in the art community. I think that's more connections based.
for sure. What's your favorite museum in New York? Because I feel like you have all the good ones here.
Yeah, I mean the Met's probably my favorite.
Met.
Yeah,
What's your favorite section of the Met?
I don't know. It's been probably 2 years since I've been there.
I like all the old like medieval like
The Gilded
Yeah,
Armor.
that part's really cool.
that area is really cool.
I
Going and
spent
seeing all
way
the
too-
swords and guns and shit.
We're gonna
Yeah.
go to the Met tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah, we have or I say we, like me and 70 plus people who clicked on this Particle link.
Okay.
I was doing a Lindy walk through
Cool.
the park, and then following
What
that
time?
up,
What time is that at?
a meeting in I forget the Sherman statue on like the southeast corner
Totally,
of the
yeah,
park.
yeah.
Meeting there at 11, and
Okay.
then walking around and hopefully thinning out the group a little bit, and then going to the Met after.
Yeah, 70 people at the Met's kind of a challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's fine if like, we're in small groups, but like not rolling 70 fucking
For sure.
people through
Now,
that.
if work permits, then I will definitely be there.
But then there's a dinner after that at the Schiller thing, and then there's like a closing.
I gotta go to the Schiller thing. I haven't seen Fungi yet.
It's literally like 2 blocks from here.
Oh yeah.
Like after we record this, I'm gonna walk over there if you want to go.
Yeah, I'll go see what's up. If work isn't trying to fuck me.
How is are you mostly remote or are you mostly in the office now?
So I work in FIDI.
Okay, so
and
you're-
I'm in the office 3 days a week. This week I'm only gonna go in 2. Just
so you got a little hybrid from
Yeah.
the.
yeah. I was at a broker dealer. I guess I shouldn't say which name. For 6 months, and that was really interesting. Like, I was working in-house stuff, which was like that felt even like more like a dichotomy. Like at least at the firm, like we represent a few different things. That was like I'm really on the inside and also trading against things that are against my employer's interest.
Like on your phone on the clock,
Literally,
like,
yeah.
shorting your company.
Might as well have been, yeah, about longing Bitcoin, shorting whatever the broker's dealer's name is.
Yeah.
Do you need a Benadryl or anything? Are you all right?
I think I'm all right.
All right, yeah, we're getting close to 4 p.m. anyways.
I got a question we ask everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know it. It is, if you were to write an autobiography, what would the title be?
Yeah, so I actually was a writer for a while.
Oh.
Yeah, I wrote a novel, and I got in touch with Penguin Publishing, and it was supposed to be put into like an anthology for young literature. I was in college, and basically they wanted me to take a 210-page novel and shorten it down to like a 35, 36-page short story, or 35 to 40-page short story, and it was like, yeah, no, I'm just not going to have what I worked on for so long at that point. So it never happened. But the reason I say all that is because I've put a lot of thought into it. I think it would be one of my favorite songs ever, and used to definitely be my favorite song. It probably still is Rocket Man. And so I think I would name my autobiography A Timeless Flight.
Nice.
Nice.
I didn't
What
know
was
you were a
your
writer.
Yeah, what was your novel about?
It's about like this guy who kind of changed his perception of time, and it sort of explored like if every clock that you see like on the wall every day was slightly different than like what the actual time was. Like if you're able to control sort of like every single clock that you see is going to be like an hour earlier, an hour later than what the actual time is, and you're able to control and moderate like every single one that you would see. How would that affect your life relevant to everybody else? And at first, obviously, it went really well for him because he was like arriving to stuff early, like being more productive, like getting stuff done in a way that other people weren't really. And then it sort of devolved, and he ended up seeing things that he wished he hadn't because other people thought it was a different time than what he thought it was. And then like there was like a fantasy aspect to it. I'm not doing a good job of describing it, but it's good enough that Penguin was interested in it.
There's I saw this interesting tweet where it was fucking with time, and it was like a clock, and it was the second hand going around, but it was a 50-second clip of a full rotation. But when you watched it, it felt like a minute, not 50 seconds. And then when it was done, it was like, wait, that was only 50 seconds. Because
Yeah.
you looked at the timer and it was like 0 out of 50. And it was just a slight thing of like, well, that felt like a minute to me, but it was
Right.
only 50 seconds.
Like how
it's
weird our
basically-
perception of time is.
Basically similar to that concept.
Yeah, it was like an art piece that they put out. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Rocket Man. So you grew up Elton John fan?
Yeah. I guess so. Like as I think you and I have talked about before, like always been really into psychedelics and stuff like that. And that song in particular was really big in like my friend group in college. And there was 4 of us in the group, and unfortunately, one of the 4 of us committed suicide.
Oof.
And at his funeral, like me and the other 3 dudes all spoke and gave a eulogy. And then afterwards, they played that song as like the exit song, basically.
got you.
Yeah, so it's always been a very important. track
Losing
for
a
me.
friend to suicide is a life-changing event.
Yeah, it
I,
really was. Yeah,
had to go through that in 2022.
yeah, it's horrible, man. Really
Yeah.
horrible.
We brought that up on another pod, but we won't go into there as we're ending. That's
Yeah.
a deep thing to.
Yeah, no, but yeah, sorry.
It is
I
a good.
didn't mean
no,
to
no,
drop
no,
a
no,
bomb.
no. It's good. It's like a good homage too to your friend.
Yeah,
It's like
of
you're
course.
always gonna hear that song and
Yeah,
think about him.
100%.
And I'm sure
100%.
there's a million other things you can look at and you'll
Yeah.
think of him too.
Totally.
But dude, this has been great. This has
Yeah,
been a
I had a
vibe.
great
It's nice
time.
to
Yeah.
get to know you.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
I feel like half the time we talk, it's like at a bar for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then it's a Dave thing
Yeah.
where everyone's sauced. And
Exactly,
like,
right.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
find
Everyone's sauced at
And it's
sauce.
great to meet you. For
Yeah,
this
I
time,
know,
think,
long
right?
time
Yeah, it's the first
coming.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have
This
the
was
punk
awesome.
over your head so people
Yeah.
can't see it, but
Cool.
thank you, man.